Okay, so tav, everybody needs to know what the sound says, and you need to hear yourself saying it. So let's say t, as in tent. T. That's the sound tav makes, and it is a symbol that represents the cross. Not as a necessarily historical event, but as a way of life. Luke 9:23 says, if anyone come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Now, tav, though we're calling it the last letter of the alphabet, because it is, but it's not the end, because Hebrew thought is not on a straight line, it is cyclical. So look with me and see the tav here, but it's connected to all the other letters because it is a cyclical way of thinking. All right, I'm going to put these here, and I hope everybody can see. I want to look at this word, ta'av. It is the word that means desire. It is to long for or to crave something. And if we look at it, we see that the Father, Aleph, sent the Son, Beit, and what was he going to do? Die on the cross. And so, but when you put that all together, it's to crave or desire. So now let's read this together. And I hope you can see the tav, the aleph, the veit, the tav, and the yud, and the vowel point. So let's read ta'av ti li yeshuat cha. This means remember the yud at the end is I crave your, that's the open kaf, I crave your salvation, or I long for your salvation. I desire it above all things. And the Toratka Yeshua, Yeshuai. So, and this is, and your Torah is my delight. And that's Psalm 119, 174. But this is such an important word, that ta'av, because you see, in that word, the aleph again connected to the tav in that word, and it's so wonderful. All right, let's look at a root again, the way we've been seeing that Hebrew words can morph. Okay, so this root that we're going to look at starts with the tav. It's tala, and this contains the idea of something hanging or it being suspended. Okay, so tala, we're going to look at this. This says tole, Eretz al blima, and that means God suspends the earth on the void. Isn't that amazing? And here we're going to watch this word tala, meaning something else. This says va yidlu et Haman. Whose name is this? Haman al ha'etz, and that says, and he hung Haman on the tree. Purim's right around the corner, so we can think about that. And the last one I love because of what it says. It says hakol talu, and here's this root word again, betiv ha milu, and that says all depends, everything depends or hangs on the quality of what's inside. Everything depends on that. All right, so I'm going to try to flip this. Okay, now I want to look at this word et, because et is used thousands of times in the Bible, over 7,000 times, but it's never translated into English. Okay, but it's a hugely important word. In Hebrew, the way they have explained it to us English speakers is that it's used as a direct object marker. A direct object marker tells you what's going to happen after the action of the verb, okay? So the et is like, here it goes, okay? The action's coming now. We're going to see why we had that verb. So et is super, but so it's not so important in English, they say, because it's not even translated. But let's look at what et really means. Et is the fourth word of the first verse of the Bible. Okay, the first verse, of course, we all know, Breshit, bara, Elohim, et. So there we have the fourth word of the Bible. And the fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet is what? Everybody should know it. What's this letter? Dalet. Okay, if you look at John 10:9, it says, and Dalet represents door. John 10:9 says, I am the door. Let's look at something else. Revelation 1:8 says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. Now that's Greek, but if we were going to use the Hebrew words, it would say, I am the Aleph and the Tav. Look at the Aleph and the Tav. Are you getting the idea of who et represents? Here's a verse that I added this morning. I wasn't thinking of it, but Colossians 1:15 says, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn, and that firstborn really means preeminent in position, okay, of all creation. Who is it? Look at this. This is incredible. If you look at the et, so who is preeminent in position? It is Yeshua, but could you prove it in this verse? Look at this. Beit stands for son, right? It's the very first letter in the entire Bible that stands for son. And if you don't think that's true, the first two letters are bar. Bar is used in Daniel as the word for son. So here, I think the Lord's trying to tell us something. Bar, and then what's this one represent? The Aleph. God. He's the Son of God. There it is. He's preeminent. There it is. He's the first letter. He's the first word. And if you don't think that's enough, how about this? He's the first letter of creation, bara. If you do the first two letters, there's son again. Who's son? The Son of God. So it's the first three, it's the next three, and then we have God, and then we have et. And nothing is created until et. Everything after that, then creation begins. It's amazing. All right, so who is this et according to Revelation 1:8? I am the Aleph and the Tav. Et is Yeshua. He's telling us, this is me. He's naming it. He's spelling it out for us. All right, and from et, we know that everything from the beginning to the end, because here's the beginning and here's the end, everything is complete. The whole alphabet now we have, right? He's total completeness, and that is Yeshua, because it starts with the Aleph, and every single one of these letters tells us traits and character qualities so we can identify who this son is. And then he tells us, I'm the Aleph and the Tav. Pretty amazing. All right, I'm going to look at one last word, and we'll wind it up with this. And it's ot. Ot is the Hebrew word for sign. Am I late? All right, so we have ot. If you take the Aleph and the Tav and you bring those down, you're going to have one thing left. What is it? It's a Vav. Vav represents a nail, and Vav represents a man. So you could take this word, ot, and you could say God nailed to the cross. That's a pretty big sign in itself, right? Then if you took the Aleph and the Tav and you bring them down, who is the man? He is the et. He's the et. There it is. The sign is God nailed to the cross, and the man, et, is Yeshua. And with that,